let's talk about civil rights through the amendments, and let's get started. I probably should have done this before. I'm just putting in the big words, and then you should have the handout that has some of the definitions if you want to go over it. Okay, First Amendment. Now, the freedom of religion, there's only two things that it says about it, and one of them is called the Establishment Clause, which means the government cannot establish a religion, meaning that they cannot say the Baptist is the national religion. And the other part is the Free Exercise Clause that says we cannot keep you, the government cannot keep you from worshiping the way you want to. All right, now, freedom of speech. What can you say and when is set up by this court case, and it's called clear and present danger. If what you say or write or movie causes a clear and present danger to the government, you cannot do it. Symbolistic speech, that means speech that you do not talk, like burning a flag. That was the Johnson versus Texas that says burning a flag is constitutional. Now, freedom of the press, obscenity is not protected in the Constitution, and the case, think real quick, the Miller case gave us guidelines how to write laws about obscene material. Okay, of course, the second, the right to bear arms. The third, you cannot house troops in your homes. But the fourth is unreasonable search and seizure, and we decided that was a search warrant. In Matt's case, evidence that was gained illegally cannot be used in court, and the Miranda case said that the police have to tell someone who's arrested that he has the right to remain silent, he can get a lawyer, and we'll give him a lawyer if he cannot afford it. Now, the 15th has several things. Most important, part of the double jeopardy, you cannot be tried 2 times by the state for the same crime. Self-incrimination, you or your spouse cannot be forced to testify against you. Due process, everyone has the same process. You cannot say this group can have a lawyer, this group cannot. Also in the Fifth Amendment, grand jury, it sets up the grand jury, and also sets up eminent domain, which means the government can take your property away, but they must pay you a good price. Sixth Amendment, a lot of things about things inside a courtroom. Right to have a lawyer, set up in the Gideon case. Right to speedy trial. Right to see the people and cross-examine the people who accuse you of things. All right, Seventh Amendment, set up the trial by jury. The Eighth Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, also no excessive fines or bails. Ninth Amendment said that now all your rights are listed in the Constitution. The important about the Ninth Amendment is that the Supreme Court used it to justify Roe versus Wade. The 10th Amendment set up the powers the state has, and they're called reserve powers. All the powers that are not given directly to the federal government are denied the states. Those are the state's powers, and they are called reserve powers. 13th Amendment gives the slaves or freedom. Now, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment are called the Civil War. The Civil War Amendments. 14th Amendment gave the citizens citizenship, gave the free slave citizenship, but it also stated you cannot be denied your life and liberty without due process and equal protection under the law. We still use those today. Equal protection was used to justify the Brown case, Brown versus Board of Education, Tecumseh. Incorporated means at the very beginning, the Baltimore case said that the amendments only applied to the federal government, not to the states. But then later we slowly added the states to some of the amendments. Now that is what is called incorporating the amendments to the states. 17th Amendment, let us vote on the senators. If you remember, the senators were elected by the state legislature before the 17th Amendment. Of course, the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. The 22nd Amendment made it set a limit on the terms the president could serve, 2 terms. 25th Amendment, we've already gone over those two in an earlier thing, but the 25th Amendment set up how to replace the vice president, how you can give your powers away if you're president, and how the vice president can take your powers away. The 26th Amendment gave the right to vote to the 18, 19, and 20 years old. It is also called the Vietnam War Amendment. All right, very few laws that we can remember. The Jim Crow laws try to keep the free states from voting. Of course, the grandfather clause, the literacy test, and the poll tax, and the white primary. You probably know all those. White primary just said that the only white people could vote in the primaries, and then some states passed a law saying if you didn't vote in the primaries, you could not vote in the general election, which that means obviously only white people could vote in the general election. Now, the Civil Rights Act of 64 said that you could not discriminate against people in the places that you own or jobs that you offer. The voting rights said no matter what you set up, what little tricky thing you set up to keep people from voting, it's against the law. Comparable worth, a woman and a man, one working at Walmart and one working at Kmart, if they're doing the same job, they should get paid the same even though they work for different companies. Disability Act stated that you cannot discriminate just because they have a disability. If you're going to say, well, you can't work here because you're in a wheelchair, well, then you must prove that the job that you want them to do, they cannot do in a wheelchair. All right, that's it, and hopefully that will help.